In the realm of naval warfare, where behemoth warships dominate the seas with their imposing presence and cutting-edge technology, an extraordinary event unfolded that defied all expectations. Yes, it was a David versus Goliath scenario, but with a modern twist. A business jet facing off against a U.S. warship. But how could a business jet possibly stand a chance against a highly advanced U.S. warship equipped with state-of-the-art technology and firepower? What unlikely circumstances led to their face-off? And ultimately, what does this showdown reveal about the evolving nature of warfare and the adaptability of those involved? But before diving right into it, let's rewind a bit to September 1980, when a fierce conflict erupted between Iran and Iraq. This clash was sparked by Iraq's invasion of its neighbor, Iran, situated along the Persian Gulf. The catalyst for this confrontation stemmed from Iran's Islamic Revolution in 1979, which saw Ruhollah Khomeini rise to power, significantly impacting the region. Sensing an opportunity to assert dominance, Iraq, led by Saddam Hussein, plunged into the fray. The war unleashed a wave of devastation, inflicting suffering on both sides. Surprisingly, despite the intense fighting, the borders remained unchanged. They just ended up where they started. After several attempts, both nations agreed to a peace deal brokered by the United Nations, bringing an end to the conflict. During the war, Iraq received significant support, including financial aid and military equipment from various countries, including the United States and the Soviet Union. In contrast, Iran didn't receive as much assistance. However, the situation became even more complicated with the Iran-Contra scandal. Now, let's dive into a captivating tale that unfolded amidst the tensions of the Middle East, when a seemingly ordinary business jet was transformed into a formidable weapon in a high-stakes game of cat and mouse. Meet the USS Stark, a missile frigate with a vital role in anti-aircraft and anti-submarine warfare. Under the command of Captain Glen Brindel, the USS Stark was deployed to the Middle East in 1984 and again in 1987 as part of a task force near the Saudi Arabian coast, tasked with maintaining order amidst the volatile Iran-Iraq conflict. But things took a messy turn when Iran retaliated against Iraq's provocations by targeting ships associated with their rival. However, Iraq, lacking a naval presence in the Gulf, aimed its attacks at vessels belonging to Iraq's allies, causing chaos in the waters. Amidst the turmoil, Iran suffered financially due to disruptions in oil exports, prompting them to seek safer means of shipping oil. They constructed a new terminal in Siri Island, strategically located farther away from Iraqi air bases, making it harder for Iraqi planes to reach. The emergence of this new terminal piqued Iraqi interest, but they faced a significant obstacle. They lacked precise information on its location. Iraq General Military Intelligence Directorate, keen on disrupting Iran's newfound advantage, devised a clever plan using a Falcon 50 business jet, dubbed Susanna, for a reconnaissance mission. This decision stemmed from the Falcon 50's lower profile, resembling a commercial plane, and its extended range compared to other available aircraft. Disguised as an Iraq Airways flight, the Falcon 50 embarked on a mission from Jordan, traversing Iraqi airspace, and then to Mumbai. On board were 3 skilled pilots posing as businessmen, tasked with capturing images of the Iranian terminal. Despite Iranian suspicions, the Falcon 50 managed to capture crucial photos of the terminal, enabling Iraq to execute a successful raid before Iran could relocate its operations. Emboldened by this triumph, Iraq sought to enhance the Falcon 50's capabilities further. Recognizing its advantages in evading Iranian detection and endurance in flight, Iraq approached French arms manufacturer Thales under the guise of acquiring a training plane for fighter pilots. Now, Thales, unaware of Iraq's true intentions, collaborated in upgrading the Falcon 50 with radar and weapon systems from the Mirage F-1 fighter. Not stopping there, they even redesigned the cockpit to mimic the layout of the Mirage, optimizing the aircraft for dual functionality for combat operations. The left side managed navigation to the target, while the right side was armed and ready to strike when necessary. This ingenious modification allowed the Falcon 50 now a formidable combatant, to carry 2 XSA missiles, poised to challenge adversaries with unparalleled agility and lethality, doubling its offensive capabilities compared to a standard Mirage fighter. With this enhanced firepower and stealth, Iraq aimed to level the playing field against Iranian naval forces, demonstrating remarkable innovation in asymmetrical warfare tactics. On May 17, 1987, during its routine patrol in the Persian Gulf, the USS Stark found itself in a harrowing situation that would go down in history. Situated just outside the active war zone, the warship had no immediate cause for alarm until an unidentified aircraft appeared on the horizon. Little did they know, this would mark the beginning of a gripping tale of unexpected confrontation and tragic loss. The USS Stark's crew, vigilant as ever, noticed the incoming aircraft, initially assuming it was an Iraqi Mirage fighter. However, this aircraft turned out to be a Falcon 50, a business jet deployed on a mission to attack Iranian tanker shipping. With limited information about the naval threat near Bahrain's shores, the crew aboard the Falcon 50 pressed on, oblivious to the unfolding drama. Despite repeated radio messages from the warship, the Falcon 50 remained unresponsive, steadily closing in on its target. Suddenly, without warning, the Falcon 50 unleashed 2 French-made XSA anti-ship missiles toward the USS Stark. The USS Stark's radar and electronic countermeasures failed to detect the incoming missiles, leaving the crew with no time to react. The first missile struck the ship, igniting a fire fueled by rocket fuel, but it didn't explode, while the second missile caused significant damage, a devastating explosion upon impact. The crew's communication systems were compromised by the smoke, hindering their ability to respond effectively. Meanwhile, an Air Force surveillance plane in the vicinity witnessed the attack but was unable to intercept the intruder. Despite reports of attempted interception by U.S. F-14 Tomcats, the Falcon 50 escaped unscathed, further complicating the situation. Still, amid the chaos and confusion, the crew of the USS Stark fought valiantly to contain the blaze and prevent further damage to the ship. In a desperate bid to prevent the USS Stark from sinking, the crew took swift action, flooding the right side of the ship to offset the damage on the left. A distress call was sent out, prompting nearby ships like the USS Waddell and USS Cunningham to rush to their aid. Despite their efforts, the attack claimed the lives of 37 crew members, leaving a somber reminder of the dangers lurking in the waters of the Persian Gulf. In the aftermath of the attack, a Naval Board of Inquiry launched a thorough investigation. While Captain Brindel faced criticism, he ultimately received a reprimand rather than a court-martial. However, both he and Tactical Action Officer Lieutenant Basil Moncrief chose to resign from their positions. The investigation revealed critical equipment failures aboard the USS Stark, raising questions about the effectiveness of the ship's defenses. Despite being miles outside the designated exclusion zone, the USS Stark fell victim to a calculated assault, raising concerns about the effectiveness of its defenses and the readiness of its crew. One of the most perplexing aspects of the attack was the identity and motives of the Falcon 50's pilots. The Joint Chiefs of Staff recommended holding Iraq responsible, prompting Iraq to issue an apology, citing a case of mistaken identity. While Iraq initially claimed responsibility, suspicions lingered about the true intentions behind the assault. Reports suggested that the pilots may have acted independently, raising questions about their allegiance and the orders they received. As investigations unfolded, blame shifted between Iraq and Iran, each seeking to distance themselves from the incident and avoid repercussions. Meanwhile, the United States grappled with the aftermath, seeking justice for the lives lost and the accountability for those responsible. Years later, in 2011, the United States and Iraq reached a compensation agreement, setting aside $400 million to compensate victims of various conflicts, including the USS Stark attack. The process was overseen by the U.S. Department of State, aiming to provide closure for those affected by the tragic events of that fateful day. So how does the revelation of a business jet's role in a high-stakes naval confrontation change your understanding of asymmetrical warfare tactics?